Hello and welcome to the Work Inspired podcast. I'm your host, George Lucas Pfeiffer. For nearly 100 years, Jel Sert has been a staple of the Chicagoland area. The company is renowned for creating some of the nation's most iconic dessert mixes, drink mixes, and freezable novelties. With over 1,000 dedicated employees, Jel Sert continues to bring flavor and fun into households all over the country. Joining us today is Jel Sert President Ken Wegner, who will share some insights into the leadership that drives this beloved company. Work Inspired starts right now. Ken, thank you so much for being here. Excited to have this conversation, especially with a business owner that's so close to us, and really excited to learn about your company, your culture, and your leadership style today.
Thank you, George. I'm pleased to be here, honored to be here. So thank you for having me.
So this is the same question that we ask every single guest, and we've done it over 100 times now, but every one of these is different, unique, and fascinating. Tell me your professional story. How'd you get to where you're at today?
Prior to going to college, through high school, I would work in our family business. So I started working there when I was 14. And I'll tell you a funny story. My first day ever working in my life, 14 years old, I was placed in what at the time was called the IBM department.
Okay.
So it was our computer department. And I drove with my dad. I was 14, went in. This is where he placed me. And I spent the entire day down there basically tearing forms apart, putting white, pieces of paper here, pink, blue, and yellow, separating these forms. I got done with work, 5:00. My dad is like, let's go, get in the car. Within 5 minutes, my dad said, "You smell so badly. You smell awful. What is that?" And I said, he said, "You smell like cigarettes." And I said, "Well, everybody in the IBM department smoked." So the entire room was literally filled with, it was like being in a really bad bar.
Yeah.
And everybody smoked down there. So I picked up all the smoke. It was my first and last day working in the IBM department. So I ended up going from there and working in our research and development quality assurance lab after that. And that's how I got my start in the business. But coming out of college, my father, I'm the youngest of three boys. And my father always had the dream that all of us would be in the business with him. My father was basically an only child. He lost a sister when she was very young. And he took over the business after my grandmother passed away, ran the business, basically on his own. We started to get involved in the business. I graduated college in 1985 and was working in the business on the purchasing side and learned a lot from my father. It was the greatest mentor I could ever have was my dad. And so he taught me a lot. We were working together very closely. My other two brothers were in the business as well. I started to look at maybe going to grad school, maybe looking to get my MBA. And my dad died very suddenly. So he died at the age of 58, had a heart attack, and was gone. Kind of changed the whole dynamic of my involvement in the business, my brother's involvement. Certainly changed the direction of going off to further my education. I just dedicated myself to the business. Some differing roles within the business, and I've been running the business for the family for 18, almost 20 years.
Wow.
It means a lot to me. I'm third generation running the business, and we have fourth generation in the business now.
Nice.
I have my oldest son is in the business, and I have a niece that's in the business as well. So it's really it's nice to have them there as well to continue that legacy. I will say that history says quite often that the third generation is the one that destroys or ruins the business. So I'm working really hard at that right now. But I've been very fortunate. What I learned from my father, what I learned from other mentors as I went through the process of working and taking on different responsibilities. It just kind of is built up in kind of who I've become.
Mm-hmm. I can resonate. I joined this business because my father is our CEO, and you say your dad was your best mentor. I feel the same way. It's a privilege to be able to learn alongside a family member. And I know sometimes it doesn't work out. And in our case, we're an employee-owned company. It's not a family business per se, but I've cherished the opportunity to watch and learn and spend time with him professionally in addition to my personal life. So I think that's a cool story.
And just one little side note too, our company, it's kind of an interesting kind of a background and that I had relatives that started and ran the Cracker Jack company in Chicago.
Oh.
And my great grandfather worked at the Cracker Jack company. He was the treasurer of the Cracker Jack company. And then my grandfather went off to fight in World War I. And when he came back, he went to work at the Cracker Jack company too. So in the late teens, about 1918, he went to work at the Cracker Jack company, worked on Campfire marshmallows, which was one of the brands that they owned. And he learned how to work with gelatin, working with marshmallows. And it led to the beginning of our business, which was the creation of gelatin desserts, literally in my grandparents' kitchen, where they began to work with gelatin, which was a really popular item at the time. In the 1920s, gelatin desserts were almost like a showpiece that you bring to dinner, you know, and so the business began in their kitchen. That's where the name Jel Sert came from, was a jelly dessert, and basically competing with Jell-O at the time, and with the brand Royal, which we now own, all the way back then in the 1920s, we were competing against them.
It's a cool origin story. I did learn that about your company when I was doing a little research, because you guys sell products that a lot of us are familiar with.
Sure.
You mentioned, I didn't know the Cracker Jack piece. Have you ever considered hiding little toys in your packaging in honor of the Cracker Jack?
Oh boy, this story, we may have to add some time to this broadcast, because there is a story there. So because of the Cracker Jack connection, we were also very friendly with the family in Chicago that owned Tootsie Toy. Tootsie Toy made all the toy surprises that were in the Cracker Jack packaging. And it was run by a family, the Scher family in Chicago. And Dick Scher actually introduced my parents and was the best man at their wedding.
Oh, wow.
And so the toy side of it was really important to my grandparents. And my father maintained some of that as well, that into some of our assorted packs of our products many, many decades ago, they would include a toy surprise in there. And it actually really was more of a toy you could see through a clear, poly bag of some kind, but it would be like a little toy soldier or a little car, a little tool, plastic tool, or anything, just a variety of different things. And that was a big thing and actually I have some of that on display at our facility.
Cool. Very cool. Well, so you talked a little bit about what the Jel Sert company does, and it's how it was, founded. Talk a little bit more though about what makes the company special or unique. Maybe you start talking a little bit about culture. You talked about legacy, but what makes the Jel Sert company special today?
Yeah. So probably one of the best ways to describe our relationship really with our employees is that every quarter now, we do a corporate update. And after COVID, we made the hard decision to allow a lot of our corporate staff to work from home. And so about 60% of our corporate staff works full-time from home. In those corporate updates, we recognize service. And it's a 3-month period where we're recognizing people's service to the company. And it is amazing every quarter and every Christmas when we actually hand out certificates to people and some recognition gifts to them where they hit 5-year anniversaries, 5, 10, 15, and so on. It's amazing the level of service that we have in our company, where yes, certainly we have our 2, 3, 5, 8-year anniversaries, but we have countless 20, 30, 40-year anniversaries every quarter. And people come to Jel Sert and they feel like they're making a difference. They're nobody can hide
Mm-hmm.
at our company, meaning that if you come into Jel Sert and you work hard, you are going to be recognized. You're going to be really well taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who comes in and it doesn't really fit either in our culture or into the job description that they have, they get exposed pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that person's not the right fit for us. But our culture is really special. I think we try to ingrain and really try to make everybody feel like they're part of not only the Jel Sert family, but the Wegner family.
Mm.
For example, when COVID hit, it was critical for us to protect our employees.
Mm-hmm.
And we got hit with COVID very early
Mm.
at our facility. We got hit with COVID. COVID suspicious March 21st of 20.
First month.
And
Yeah.
and we had our first COVID positives in our facility March 24th.
Mm.
So with that, we took and went to great lengths and extents to really to protect our employees. The nice thing is that coming out of the horror that was COVID, our employees recognized that we really, really went incredibly far to take care of them
Mm-hmm.
because we care for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we just do that in general. We try to instill that family heritage. I speak fluent Spanish, so a lot of our employees, especially on the factory floor, are Hispanic and speak Spanish. Some of them don't speak any English at all at times, so it's good for me to be able to relate to them. We have lunches where we'll bring factory workers in from different departments, and I can have a lunch with them, and they can tell me what's going on and what's good or bad. And same with the corporate staff. We have different departments that I meet with throughout the year, and just sit and sometimes it's like certain groups, they're like just chatty as can be, and then other groups it's like, it's like almost pulling teeth. So I'm like, ask me anything. You want to know my favorite baseball team? You want to, what do you want to talk about? We have these great conversations, and actually at times things come out of those. Whether we need to adjust something or we need to do something differently or recognize something differently, we take that. I take that very seriously.
Mm-hmm. Listening is a core pillar of putting your people first and implementing what they say. But it sounds like you're ahead of that by establishing trust and a relationship so that they're willing to even share so that you can listen, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. When any of our employees have a struggle, that they have a personal issue, or they have a spouse that's ill, or they lose a family member, or whatever, we're really we really try to protect people and help them through tough times in their lives. And I can't tell you how important that is to them. It's such a critical thing for them to know that they have us watching their back. And it's something that I don't know how else to say it, but it just kind of comes naturally for us to do that. We just do it. So
yeah, we usually you'd say a family business is a benefit because and often the answer is, we can look further down the road because we're not beholden to our shareholders, or we've got this rich history. But I think what you're saying is that it's not just you're a member of the Jel Sert family. If you're part of the Wegner family, you're treating them like you treat your own family, and your family's the business. And so there's a lot of synergy there, which I think that fits well with having a very people first culture.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. And even family members that come into the business, it's always been really important that if anybody comes into the business, that they come into the business with the attitude that they're going to work harder than anybody else there. They're not going to come into the business and just say, I'll pop in when I feel like it, and maybe I'll go play golf, run off on a 3-week vacation and just goof around. It's serious business, and we're, I hold family members accountable to that. Because I don't want people ever to look upon us saying, yeah, look at we work so hard for the family, and they just, I don't play golf.
Yeah. Well, you said the employees that come in can't hide. It would be hypocritical if the family members that came in could, right? So
I get up early every day. I start working at 4:30, 4:45 every morning, and I never really shut off. I'm doing emails all day, every day till eventually I put my head on the pillow and that's it. And or calls or whatever. The business has been so ingrained into me. And I'm really like beyond blessed to have amazing children, adult children that are really great and very supportive. And most importantly, my wife is a rock star. I mean, she's the best. And we're married 35 years in 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So I'm interested, as you described the move to a hybrid workforce, and you talk about the importance of culture and relationships and open sharing. Your manufacturing team has to be there in person,
Correct.
I'm guessing. Have you found it to be a struggle to kind of maintain a consistent culture across groups that aren't there in person and maybe are only ever seen through a screen? And those that are coming in every day on the manufacturing floor that are getting to do something like this, where they're sitting down with each other or working alongside each other.
Yeah, it was a really difficult decision. It was interesting because December of 19, we were having the conversation of wondering where we were going to put all the people that we're growing. We're looking to, we're adding people, and we began to look around like, where are we going to put these people? We actually, one of our distribution centers has an office space. It's our emergency area where we have a backup office area set up. And we began to look at that space saying, well, maybe we'll move customer service, and maybe we'll move, finance over there, and maybe credit. And we began to look at space allocation. And then all of a sudden COVID hits, right? And, we send everybody home on March 16th of 20, and certainly everybody that could go home, right? From the corporate perspective. And you're right, manufacturing, we never shut down,
right,
other than a couple of brief moments just for a couple of technical reasons that we had to shut down for days. But other than that, we couldn't. The demand was there. We were making product for the government, for the pharmaceutical industry, and so on. We just had to continue making product. We had all these people now that were working from home, set them up at home in home offices. Our IT department did an amazing job doing that, and
the IBM department,
our IBM department, where nobody smokes now. By the way. People then began to look around as time went on, and they began to say, well, I don't need to live around here anymore. So then our corporate staff that was more localized and was coming in every day, that now was working from home permanently, began to kind of go off and live wherever they want to live. My CFO lives in suburban Atlanta. So, we have people that our head of marketing lives in suburban Atlanta as well. So we just have people that decided to go off, and it's certainly been a great benefit to them because now they're able to live wherever they want. Technology has allowed them to be able to do it. We do everything we can to try to maintain that culture. Again, we do these corporate updates that I mentioned earlier. Twice a year, we bring everybody from around the country in together. So we're doing a cookout in July, and then we do a Christmas party in December. And there's only one rule that they have to go by, is that we do not talk about business. Meaning there are no presentations, there's no, like watch this video or anything. It is just for them to get together and hug and see each other. And a lot of times it's people that have met multiple times on Teams, but they've never physically met each other, are now meeting for the first time.
They've never seen the bottom half of the people that they're working with.
Right, exactly. And so it's those kind of opportunities that have become very important to everybody. We'll bring teams in, like the finance team may come in for a group meeting with credit, or our marketing team will come in and have a collaborative meeting. So we do have those meetings occurring, but a silver lining to a very dark cloud was that we have been able to hire people that I think are in some ways even higher level than we might have been able to hire in the past because of our ability to offer them an at-home environment. And that's really important to a lot of people. So, we've brought in some incredible talent into our organization over the past 4 or 5 years. So we've been very blessed with with that as well.
We work with a lot of different business owners and decision makers, and the benefits and the challenges of the hybrid model, right? And so I think that's, each company is trying to find the path that's right for them as it relates to, the benefit of having people together is a stronger culture usually that, is maybe more serendipitous and stronger relationships, because the reality of screens is it's just not the same. But you can get a different type of team. You can have the work-life balance, the flexibility that the hybrid model. So it's interesting to see, especially now that we're a few years in. Initially it was we all had to do it, and then it was, well, we can do it. We didn't think we could, but we can. Now it's all right. We're starting to see what are the longer-term implications of being isolated or being remote versus being together, and then as a leader, trying to navigate how do I kind of bridge some of those challenges? And so whether it's going through, the challenges that were COVID, or navigating the new hybrid world, or maybe even preparing for what's surely coming with disruptive technology.
Right.
What are some of the ways that you're navigating change? And then you've been in the business for a long time, so I'm sure these last couple of years aren't the first time you've experienced challenge and change.
No, but I look at business like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right. And in the years that I've been involved in the business, there have been some incredible ups and some really scary, terrifying downs. Right. And same thing happened when, with my father being there and my grandparents running the business. We're going to be 100 years in 2 years. So we're 98 years old right now, our business. And not a lot of family businesses that are around for that long. And so, when our business, we're in manufacturing, and we're making products that people consume. I've always said to my kids, and I've always said to friends, others out there, that in today's world, nobody understands how anything is made, right? Nobody understands that how complex it is for things to all come together and workers to all put it together, and out it comes, with the quality levels and the service, and it's on the store shelf. Nobody understands how that happens. They just know that they click a button today online and a product shows up at their door, perhaps hours later.
Yep.
And so younger people especially have no concept of how anything's made or where it's made, or I don't even know if they care. They just want it to be there. But in manufacturing, our world is different than a lot of other worlds where people are looking at AI so suspiciously, or they're looking at just tech as being either a huge opportunity or a huge threat, right? And for us, we make products. We make products, again, that people consume. We make products that are of tremendous quality and great value to the consumer, and that goes back to the beginning of our company. And our future is really bright. For the categories that we're in, for the products that we make, for the innovation that we bring to the categories, for the partnerships that we have out there. Companies like ours just keep on moving forward, not looking behind them every second. Yeah, you kind of check the mirror every once in a while, but there are other companies that they live their lives in terror that something's just gonna fall from the sky and smash them. And we've gone through so much. Yeah, we've gone through a world war. We've gone through a depression. I mean, our company started in 1926, right? We've gone through recessions, global recessions. We've gone through other military issues, and just we've been able to overcome it. Even COVID, it was just another challenge that somebody really wise once told me that you're confronted with things in life and in business that you have to go through. You can't go around them, you can't go over them, or you can't go under them. You got to go through them. And that's the way I look at business as well. COVID was something that you couldn't avoid. You couldn't hide from it. You couldn't, say, I'll deal with that maybe next month. It was something that you had to take on face to face and plow through.
We're 76 years old, not quite 100 yet, but
that's great.
But I think what I'm taking away from what you just said is we often say, okay, it's nice that we've had this legacy and we've got all these decades of experience behind us, but our customers are kind of like, what do you got for us today? What do you got for us tomorrow? So we got to be focused ahead, not looking back all the time. But what you just said was also, because you've gone through all these roller coaster ups and downs of challenge, it's almost like you practiced through it, right? Like it's like if you show up for a big race and you're a runner, if you haven't done a bunch of races ahead of time, you're going to be afraid. But
we're hardened. We've been hardened.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you've trained through it. And I think that is, it's not just saying, oh, we're experienced in this. It's saying we have the confidence to know that we've been in places like this before. And so that's one of the benefits of having a company that's been around for a long time, is that future change is less scary because you experienced lots of past change, even though it's different types. And you just know you've weathered those storms, right? And so I think it's a mindset almost, and a confidence that you've got that you've been here 100 years and there's 100 more ahead, right?
Well, and God willing, yeah. And our officer team really runs our company, right? And they are they live and breathe our culture. They live and breathe our quality systems, and they've been through a lot with us, and they understand what the family's desires are. They understand, what we want to put out there in the marketplace. And we're just very fortunate that we don't have the turnover.
Yeah.
We don't have, a lot of big companies today, especially publicly traded companies, the turnover is just massive, right? People, whether it's turnover where people are leaving the company altogether, or turnover where people are just changing roles within the organization, it's very disruptive,
right?
And we're seeing it from the other side, where when we have job openings, especially in some of our senior management levels, we're getting a lot of people from big publicly traded companies that are coming to us saying, this is what I'm looking for, and this is the direction I want to go. And it's allowed us to hire some really great people from companies that are not treating their employees as well as they should, or are not giving them the respect that they deserve, the ability to make a difference within the organization.
Yeah, so you've talked about that. You've talked about these milestones, how you've got people that have been in your company for a long time. You've talked about the people first culture and the culture of hard work and innovation, where you're, it's pretty clear early on if you made a hire that's not the right fit for the team.
Right.
And then you also talked about adding in the flexibility of the hybrid or remote worker to open up your candidate pool to other areas of the country, or provide reasons for people to stay at the Jel Sert company that, may not have been if you were requiring them to be in West Chicago. What I'm trying to do is piece together the ingredients of your successful hiring strategy and your ability to not just find the right people, but to keep them at your company.
I think a part of it also, certainly a big part of it, is the reputation of the company. So the company, yes, we've been around for 98 years. That speaks to something, right? But also, Jel Sert may not be a household name, but in like behind the scenes, from an industrial perspective, from the trade perspective and the food and beverage world, we're very well known, and we're very, very well respected, and that's very important for us to have that level of respect with retailers, with suppliers, with other manufacturers, with just other people out there. And we're, we've done things kind of quietly, but we've done them in a big way. I mean, we're a top 100 beverage company in the world, but we've kind of done that under the radar. Yes, we publicize some things and we do some articles, and there's probably a little bit more of that coming from us as time goes on. We have a great reputation out there, and I think that draws interest from people that are looking for a job, looking for perhaps a career change, or looking to find a company that, hey, you know what, I could be here for the rest of my career. And we look for people like that. We want people. Yeah, listen, I'm not naive to think that somebody who comes in at the age of like 23 to work on our social media is probably not going to be there for the rest of their career.
Yeah, that's realistic.
Right. Yeah. So, but somebody coming in at a senior level, position in our finance department or in our, sales or marketing areas, I think they are looking for what we're offering, which is kind of this is my home now, my work home, and this is where I want to be, until I make the decision to retire.
Yeah. All of your manufacturing done in West Chicago?
It is. We do all of it there.
So how much of a differentiator / benefit is being an American-made product?
I love it. I mean, I love making our product all in the United States, all of it in West Chicago. We're proud to be in the area. We're the biggest employer in West Chicago. We're one of the larger employers in DuPage County. And we make a significant impact in the community from a financial perspective. And so it's, the United States, this is our country. Certainly we buy select items, components, ingredients, probably, certain components of our packaging or other ingredients we buy come from overseas. It's going to be the inherent nature of things, right? It's, we use in some of our products, we use vitamin C. 100% of all the ascorbic acid, vitamin C made in the world is made in China.
Really?
100%.
I did not know that.
So you're not buying it from other places, right? There's some global sourcing that's done. We do everything we can to buy as much as we can in the United States, especially with equipment that we buy. We buy very little of our manufacturing equipment from overseas. Not only because we want to support the U.S. economy, but also from a service perspective. Certainly you don't want to be waiting for somebody to come from Italy, 2 or 3 weeks later to help you with a machine that's got a problem. So we're able to react to things a lot faster. But being in the United States, being in Illinois, we've always been in Illinois. Illinois can be hit or miss, right? With, from a business favorability perspective. But we just announced a major expansion. We're going to be building, and we are in the midst of building, a new manufacturing center for powdered drink mixes in a portion of one of our distribution centers. And the state has been very favorable to help us with a tax credit on it, which is helping us. So really, we're helping the state. We're going to be adding at least 50. It'll probably be closer to 100 new jobs within our operation. And we're investing capital over $10 million into our operation. And, the state has been very, helpful with that.
Good.
So
those are the stories we want to hear.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all the transparency and the insight into what's working really well at the Jel Sert company. Personally, from your perspective as a leader, has there been a resource that you found valuable that you could recommend to listeners?
One, for me, resource-wise, it's really, really important to listen to your employees and to listen to people at all levels throughout the organization. I think I get such great feedback from, as I said earlier, the officer team runs the company, but just everybody at different levels that give us ideas, point out issues, say things that are positive, whatever it is.
The way that you do that, is it organic, where you're going out and just asking, or do you have a formal feedback process?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, the formal feedback is more so these meetings that where I sit down with collective groups of different departments, different employees. But then a lot of it is just organic. And we have an open door policy. If somebody from the shop floor, from the factory, who started yesterday and worked for us for one day, wants to come up and meet with me and speak Spanish, my door's open. So
often those are some of the best insights, because they bring in an outside perspective, right?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Very much so. And I'm also I'm an avid reader of news and news in our industry. So I study a lot of stuff. I look at articles. And that's some of what I do really early in the morning. Just kind of catch up on my news feed a little bit and look at what's out there. What's competition doing? What are other companies doing? What are they announcing? And it's taught me a lot. And I really became very focused on that during COVID because I wanted to see what was going on out there, and I wanted to see what other people were experiencing. And it was a great educational source for me.
Maybe I'll augment this for you. What's something you're looking forward to or planning for your 100th?
Well, it's funny. We're starting to plan that now. We're starting to look to that. Me personally, I'm proud of it. It's great that we're 100, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time focused on it. I can't. I want to,
looking like a true president,
right? I just want to spend time focused on the business, and I'm really excited about where our company is. I will say that this year, so we're a 98-year-old company this year, and we will have our largest sales year in the history of the company this year.
Congratulations!
Thank you, and we continue to grow. All the categories that we play in, that we're part of, are growing.
Nice.
And we're in many cases leading that growth, and I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm excited about new people that we brought into the company that are helping us get to that next 100 years, right? And including my own son and my niece, but some of these people coming in with a lot of energy, a lot of great ideas, and a lot of really great technical knowledge, are really going to help propel us.
Nice. So you're flipping that third generation stigma on its head, setting the bar pretty high for for the fourth.
I told you, I'm trying my best. Actually, I'm trying my best not to destroy the company. How's that?
Well, it sounds like you're doing a good job. Final question: if you had, let's say you were retiring tomorrow, and you wanted to leave behind some advice for the future leaders, what would that be?
Be humble. Listen, instill that family. Feeling and culture in the organization forever. Just don't let it get to your head. I always look upon the adage that to whom much is given, much is expected. And with my children and my wife and I have been very, very engaged in our community, engaged in charitable efforts, and we give back a lot as does our company, to the community, and I that is so important to us. It's such an important part as well of our culture, and it's interesting how our employees get so engaged and so become such a part of the charitable causes that we get behind, and that to me is another really important thing, is just maintaining that if I'm not around.
An amazing story. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your success, and looking forward to seeing what the future holds for the Jel Sert company.
Thank you, George.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to rate our show. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Work Inspired podcast so that you don't miss any of the incredible guests we have planned for upcoming episodes. We'll continue to find the best and brightest minds in business so that you can learn, grow, and succeed, and so that we can all work inspired. Work Inspired is brought to you by BOS, a leader in commercial working environments and a Hayworth best-in-class dealership. Experience our 360 approach and discover the team, tools, and techniques required to navigate the complexity of your next workspace at BOS.com. If you have ideas, feedback, or would like to be featured on our show, please email podcast@BOS.com. Thank you for listening. This has been a Workspace digital production. If you're interested in launching a podcast at your organization, please email info@workspace.digital for a free consultation.